Hello guys, this video will be about multi-column list boxes and how you can use forms. I made a small table beforehand which we will use as an example to understand what can go wrong and what's important to think about when you make a user-friendly program. First of all, you have to expect the user to behave like a baby. Yes, a baby. They will press any button available in order to find something that could crash or make your program malfunction. So let's begin with how to create a user form with the mindset that whoever uses this program wants to destroy it. You have to go into the Developer tab and press View Code. Thereafter, you go into the Insert tab and choose User Form. A new window will come up. First off, there's a toolbox, which is similar to the tools you can find in the Developer tab under Insert. We will use the following tools in this example: a couple of text boxes, 2 command buttons, and a few list boxes with labels. I created a shape which will activate the user form. Let's check it out in the Module tab. So instead of activate the user form, we show it, the user form, by clicking on the shape. And the same with exiting. We hide the user form instead of closing it. In the pre-made user form, I have named each text box and list box, so it will be easier to use and remember what they do. In order to access a program area, you can just double-click somewhere in the user form and bring it forward. Let's do so. Alright, here's the code connected to the user form we made. Let's begin with the initialize sub. Here you write what you want the user form to show every time you open up the user form. You can put settings in here for each list box and command button, but that's more of a design thing, which we will skip in this video. Let's head to the top of the coding area. Here I create a couple of global variables. Now, this can be good if you don't want to create the same variables a lot of times in each sub or function, but it surely has its drawbacks too. First sub closes the user form, or rather hides it. Anyway, it goes away. Afterwards, I wanted the program to show the information that was connected to the apartments in the next list box whenever you click on the apartments. However, I wanted it to be a multi-column list box, and in order to do so, we need to define the list box as a multi-column list box, which I do within the first with command. I set the column count to 6 and also clear the list box before I enter any new data to it. Thereafter, I clear the text boxes and change the button caption to add new instead of save, as it was first. I'll come back to that later, because now the interesting part is here, how to, in a simple way, add the data from the table into the multi-column list box. Now, as always, I don't say that this is the best or simplest method, just one of many ways to handle things with list boxes. First, we try to find which apartment has been selected with a simple for loop that goes from the beginning of the list box to the end. Thereafter, we store the data in our variable selected value. This will come in handy later on. Now we go for another for loop, which loops through the data we have on the sheet, trying to find the correct apartment number and then add it to the multi-column list. However, before all that, notice the variable y I set to 0 just before the for loop. This is the variable we will later use in order to continue to add data lower down on the multi-column list box if there is more than one person living in the apartment. When we find the right apartment, we enter another for loop which adds the element found in the first loop's position in y coordinates and the second for loop's position as x coordinates. That way, we will ensure that all 6 values will be added to the multi-column list box. If there will be another person who lives in the very same apartment, then the y variable will increase with 1 unit, and it will mean that both values of people will be shown in the multi-column list box. Let's move on to the next function. It's much simpler. So I decided that I wanted to be able to change the entry data by clicking on the multi-column list box. The information there will be transferred to the text boxes where you can change them and add the changes. Quite simple for loop, finding the selected value and then printing it out to the text boxes. Let's move on to the last sub. The important one though is we now can both add new people to the data list and change current data using one simple button. That changes caption depending on the number of list boxes selected. We have to make an if statement saying that if this button caption is add new, it will add a new row with information to the data list. Meanwhile, if the caption is add changes, then it will find the data you want to manipulate and change the specific data. It's just a lot of variables, for loops and if statements. But let's spend a few seconds here looking at it. Like I said, there's probably infinite ways to solve the very same problem, but this one works for me and will work if the data list expands or there's a change of apartments. It's not static, just locked to the table rules. So let's try it out.